Hello and welcome back to Big Fellas. My name is Mark, this is my co-host Darren. Here we are today with Darren's story. So, where should we start? Let's start at the beginning, Darren, shall we? Tell me about your childhood.
Yeah, so good upbringing, mate. Grew up, had quite young parents when I was born. Went to school. I'm told, although obviously I don't remember, that when I was very young, I was quite significantly underweight.
Okay.
And the only thing I used to eat was mushrooms from the tin.
Oh, wow.
And Weetabix. That was it.
Wow.
As a
That's
toddler.
a diet, that is, isn't it?
That is, yeah. Unfortunately, that never continued. That love for mushrooms straight out of tin and Weetabix.
Should we try that as a diet for this week?
No, it sounds horrific, doesn't it? But yeah, I was very underweight, mate. And at primary, we went over your story in the last episode. I never had those issues. I used to love football, loved playing TIG, was very active. I think I was one of those kids that could just eat whatever, and just never seemed to put on weight. So primary was fine, mate. Went through primary, started secondary, which is where obviously we met, and then I used to play football for a local club. Used to do a lot of running.
Rowdies, was it?
Rowdies, yeah. My sons play against them now, and it's we were against that. That's not fair on Rowdies. But yeah, I wasn't never, was never the best footballer. Never going to take it pro, but where I live locally, there were some fantastic players, and including some that went on to be
And played for England.
One played for England, yeah. And I was never at that level, mate. I'll be honest with you, I wish I was, but I never was. I was never going to be pro. But I loved it, and we played a lot. If we weren't at school, we were outside, either playing TIG, run-outs type stuff, or playing football matches, rugby matches, just generally very active. The issue with that is that as you're growing, I remember running cross country in our year. Do you remember we used to do those cross country?
I fucking hated that.
See, I loved it. I remember coming fifth in our year. In year 7. Yeah.
I was right at the back. I would have been on the same race.
Yeah, I remember coming fifth and being knackered at the end of it, but loved all that stuff. And the issue is that as I was growing, I then had something called slip epiphysis, which
what's that?
So to try and explain it, it's basically where you've got your hip joint connected to your pelvis, is where the hip joint comes away and it starts to slip off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Yeah, it was. So it happened with my left leg first, and they caught it pretty quickly. It was basically shooting pains from my knee up to my hip every time I put weight on it. It was very uncomfortable. Went in, had an x-ray. Yep, you got this slip epiphysis. It's quite uncommon. Not many people have it, but it's not it's not 1 in a million. It's one in maybe a couple of 10,000 or something like that. So went in, had pins in my hips and my left hip. So what they do is they screwed, at the time they certainly screwed it back in to place and let the bone reform. And actually, mate, it's about 6 weeks normally that you're not allowed to play competitive sport. Probably a few months where you can't play football and stuff like that. 6 weeks of not being able to walk at all, and 6 months of 3 to 6 months of not being able to. Yeah, not about play.
Sounds brutal though.
Yeah, it was, but the left leg was caught really quickly, so that was fine. I remember going back to football training, and I think for being out for so long, I was out for I think it was like over the summer as well. So it'd been a good 6 months since I'd played competitive football. And I remember going back to training and just being ruthless and like getting good tackles in. I think because I'd been out for so long, I was so determined.
Yeah.
And went in and did the training session and wanted to get back on the team. And I literally remember walking home and having the exact same pain in my right leg. And you know, when you just like, fuck. And I hobbled home, got home, and I said to my mum and dad, same pain, other leg. I went into the hospital, had an x-ray, got sent home. No, probably growing pains, fine. That went on, mate, for 2 years. Kept going back to hospital, must have gone 30 times in that 2 years. Same pain. What we know now is that if it goes in one leg, there's about a 50% chance of it going the other.
Yeah.
So went in. What happened was, as the hip was slipping off, because it was left so long, it started to turn. So even now I have a slightly turned out leg. No, it's not like, if you see me walking down the street, you wouldn't be thinking, oh, what a freak, his legs were. Like, nothing like that, but it's just slightly turned, and it's always something that sort of like, worries me. But that was about 2 years. So that 2 years, like, to give you an idea, I lived about a mile or two from my school. We used to walk to school. Couldn't walk. My parents used to have to take me in because I was so upset I couldn't walk. We were going to the hospital. At one point, the surgeon was like, it's all in his head. He literally said that, and we were like, no. So one day, after a couple of years, my parents were so fed up. I was probably about 12, 13 at the time. They literally turned around and said, we're not leaving until we get a second opinion. Had the second opinion. The other doctor said, right, go back to x-ray, or want some slightly different x-rays. I think in that 2 years had nearly 20 x-rays, and they were literally at the point then, we're like, this is not good to be giving a kid this many x-rays. Had the x-ray, and from a slightly different angle, and he's like, your hip is literally about to fall out of the joint, so you're literally
wow.
And the next day went into theatre, but the issue is that didn't go as well, because it was a far more complex surgery by that point, because the hip had not only started coming off, it started twisting and stuff. So yeah, what that basically meant in terms of what we're talking about is the last 3 years where I'd gone from being a fit, young, active kid into a 3 years of sitting on the sofa, eating stuff to make myself feel better, building really fucking bad habits. And that's something that even at 40, I still struggle with, because I think my comfort then was food, looking back at it. Yeah. It was the only thing that I could make myself feel better with. Yeah. And unfortunately, I fell into that mindset of, it's a bone operation, post-surgery, ice cream will be good because it's full of calcium. Like, don't worry about the sugar.
Yeah. We all kidded ourselves, didn't we?
Yeah, and to be fair, mate, since then, we play football. I'm fine now. I try and stay as active as I can. I've done lots of gym, but I remember walking to school. Once I was recovered from that second operation, and my mate saying to me like, "You're really chubby. I would describe you as quite chubby." Yeah. And at that point, I'd got a bit of man boob. I'd got a bit of a roll on my tummy, and I was quite chubby, to be fair. And I remember in the school fair, I was just hating them, just being like, I'm big, and just never managed to lose it. Went through school. I definitely didn't get bullied, mate. I'll be honest. No, it was a different experience to your story in terms of that. I was, I think, relatively popular at school. I think most people liked me.
You got on with most people, didn't you?
Yeah, never really. No enemies.
No.
Which, that is the way I like things. I get on well with most people.
Yeah.
But I remember going to, I used to wash up for a local Italian when I was 15 years old. Always wanted to get out and earn some money. And it was around Christmas time that I did this, and we went to like a staff party. Yeah. And I remember I think I was 15 coming on 16, and it was in the pub, because obviously the guy who owned the Italian owned a couple of pubs as well, so it was in his pub. Weren't drinking or anything like that, but was in the pub, and there was some girls about my age there, and they were a bit flirty, and I just remember not having any confidence to do anything with it. Yeah. And after that, I remember going home to my parents and being like, I want to eat healthy. And for a week, I had some healthy pack-ups for school. I had like bananas in them rather than your biscuits and all that shit. So, lost a little bit of weight, and then that fell off. And then started my sort of adult life, mate, and as a big guy, I suppose.
And so how did that affect life going into adulthood then, being a big fella?
Yeah, like I like yourself, really, with your story. I really struggled with confidence, to be honest. Going out clubbing and stuff, used to get on really well with the rugby lads, go out a lot in your local town when we were growing up. Yeah. And just had no confidence with women, mate. I'm a nightmare with it. Yeah. I was lucky that in my mid-20s I met my now wife. So when we met, I was about 15 stone, I think 16 stone maybe, which isn't like massive, but it's definitely overweight. I think I'm about 5'8", to give you an idea. So it's she was 8 stone. when we met. So she was really slim, but we got on really well. We met through work, and she was just saying I had very little confidence, if like should have been more confident. Yeah, and I think that was always down to my weight, if you like.
Yeah.
So yeah, at that time I joined my old job as well. Hopefully people won't hate me for this. Some people
What was your job? What did you do?
So I was a police officer at that time. So I joined at 25, or 24 I think it was just. And obviously fitness tests are a part of that, certainly in the early stages they were. And I think being young and being overweight was fine. I could still, at 25 you can still do most things, can't you? Even
fitness tests and everything, yeah.
Yeah, so I did all the fitness tests, passed them fine. I did the riot training, so I was involved in the 2011 riots. That was fucking mental.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Save that for another episode.
Yeah. Well, that was the riot training was incredibly tough, because what you're doing is you're running constantly, but with like it's only a plastic
big shield and
shield. You're padded up to the brim. You're having bricks thrown at you, and you don't even feel them. You're so padded up. But what you're doing is you're carrying your own weight, and then you're probably carrying another
2 stones.
Yeah, 3-4 stone at least. Yeah. And that's if you're not got like a fire extinguisher attached to your belt as well. That's more weight. And yeah, you're doing all that in training. I remember really struggling with that, and I did what most people do. Did like Slimming World. Yeah. I think one time I did Slimming World. Lost good 2-3 stone. Yeah. Come off it, put 2-3 stone back on. Yeah. I'll be honest, mate. I just fucking hated it. Like, I hated going there as a young lad. So say this time in my late 20s, quite a young lad, and going there, and there's a load of old women.
Full of middle-aged women.
Not even just middle-aged, young, old, middle-aged, but just a load of mainly women, a couple of old blokes just sitting in the class. And this is only my personal experience, because it's worked for a lot of guys. I get that, but I just sat there, and it's like, how did you do this week? Oh, you've lost 2 pounds. Tell us about it. Or you've put on, and you feel it just feels so demeaning. And I was just like, this is shit. I didn't want to do it, and
fearing the shame and embarrassment of putting on a pound that week.
Yeah, exactly. I think I did it on a run up to our wedding, which was 2009.
Oh, wow.
No, 13. Sorry.
How do you not remember your wedding?
2013. So we've been over the 10 coming on 11 years now. So
congratulations.
Yeah. So I remember like doing Slimming World on the run up to that. Just again, not really enjoying it that much, but obviously having that motivation. On my wedding day, didn't feel great, but the day was great. Honeymoon, I would probably always wear a t-shirt around the pool. Yeah, I'd hate getting my top off to get in the pool. No,
I've been there. Remember all that shame and embarrassment.
Mate, it's horrible, isn't it?
Teenage years, hang around by the river and that, and I'd be the last one to take my top off, and try my best not to. Man boobs and all that shit, you get that all the time.
Oh, didn't you? Yeah, and people can be quite horrible about things, and sometimes without meaning to, as we said in your own. One of the things that I remember being a police officer, obviously, as in a town, and we got this call. It was about 3-4 in the morning, so we were on nights, and I was just on shift at the time, and we got this call that there's someone breaking into some cars. And we were doing paperwork at the police station, quite a few of us, because in a small market town at 4 in the morning, there's not a lot going on. You use the opportunity to catch up on things, and we all went running out. There was about 4 cars that went up there, and we pulled up, and we literally disturbed them as they're breaking in cars. But they obviously, 4 in the morning, there's not many cars on the road, so they can hear some cars coming, and they very quickly scarpered. And I remember chasing this lad through this housing estate. It was a nice housing estate in this local town. And I remember chasing him, probably not that long, but probably about 100, 150 metres. Yeah. And as I turned the corner, there was a few of us. As we turned the corner, they were gone. And it was like, fuck, where'd they go? And to cut a long story short, we stopped, we had a look around, we split up and went in different directions. And I noticed that my boots laces had come undone. Yeah. And as I knelt down to do them, I see this rustling in the bush, and lo and behold, it was one of the guys breaking into cars. And so obviously nicked him and sent him off in a van. And my mates at the time, they started making jokes. Oh, Darren dropped his Mars bar, and when he went to pick it up, he was there, and it was like it was that banter, and it was, don't get me wrong, it weren't supposed to be horrible, but you just think to yourself like, that's the sort of shit that just constantly plays on your mind. Like, that's what people think here.
It is, and that's like I said in my story. I got people making comments and remarks when I was in working life.
Yeah,
and it's mad, but
it is.
So when did you get to a point then when you realised I'm getting really overweight here and I need to do something about this?
Yeah, so in my 30s, so when I turned 30, which is a long time ago now, obviously 40 now, aren't we? But when I turned 30, it sort of kicked me up the arse a little bit. And what I did was I joined like a HIIT gym, like doing HIIT sessions.
Yeah.
And I got really into that. I lost a lot of weight doing that. But not only that, I got really fit with it as well. So I was running like 10Ks and stuff.
Fair play.
And I really enjoyed that. But we had a child at the time that I can't remember how that sloped off, but just sloped off, and slowly the weight started rebuilding and the fitness started losing. And then I got quite big. So we then had our second child, things going on at home, like, you know, getting older, it just become a lot harder, and the weight really started to come on. So what happened then was I went from being that 16, 17 stone, and over a few years I ballooned up to over 20. And that was then the point where I'm like, I'm getting older, I'm really struggling with fitness tests, because I was still a police officer at that point, really struggling with fitness tests, managing to do them still, but not
only just.
I was well off the front line by then. I weren't doing any of the sort of running bits or stuff. I was doing other stuff. So I was trying to do diets, when I was on intelligence, like, you'd come in on a Monday morning, then you'd be up in, I don't know, some other part of the country for a week. So you've had no time to prepare food. So every diet just seemed to stop at some point, just like that. But I got really big, and COVID hit. When COVID hit, I was suffering with a few mental health problems as well, which were trauma related from the police. And COVID hit, and like everyone else, you're at home, you're not doing much. I was either working, because I was still lucky enough to go out and be able to not socialise, but, you know, be out and about and have a bit of normality.
Yeah, absolutely remember that.
Because of what we did. But at the same time, coming home and just not doing much, all the gyms were closed, and I had this really horrible cough, probably COVID. It lasted about 3 months. So
3 months?
Yeah, I just couldn't shift it. And I ended up, I remember I took my little lad to go and watch Peterborough United.
Yeah.
And we had to leave at half time. So I was struggling to breathe. It was awful. It was like asthma. Yeah. So I drove home. I remember laying on the sofa, and I could breathe in, but I couldn't breathe out. It was the weirdest thing. So I booked a doctor's appointment, went down there, and he gave me these like 8 little tablets that you take. They're like an anti-inflammatory steroid type thing, and you can only take them for a few days, but you take 8 at a time. And best drugs I've ever had, mate. They literally cleared it in a couple of days, and I was a lot better. But one of the things that just fucking hit me is that by that time, I think I was like 21 stone or something.
Fucking hell.
I was floating around about there, and the doctor said, he's a really good doctor, and I'll always appreciate him just fucking saying it as it is. He was like, look, you have 2 young children, and the way you're going in a moment, you won't get to see them, later in life. Like, you're putting yourself into an early grave, basically. I don't think he used those actual words, but that's basically what he said. And that really fucking hit me hard, to be honest. I found that really hard to hear. Like, you look at your kids.
It's the brutal truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's hearing that, and then it's like, fuck, something's got to change here.
That's it, yeah. Like, my dad was 18 when I was born. When my youngest was born, I was in my mid-30s. So actually, you know, I need to make sure that I'm there to see them into adulthood, at least, you know, and like, hopefully meet my grandkids and stuff. And it just got me thinking, like, fuck, I'm not going to meet my grandkids if I carry on. You know, I might not even see my kids get married. And that was really hard. So I joined the gym. They do all, like, they're very weight-based. And I was going there 3-4 times a week. I was eating healthy. But I just couldn't cope with it. I think in hindsight, I was just too big. I was really struggling. I was losing like a pound or two a week, and in my head I'm like, I've got to lose like 7-8 stone.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's just it just felt like a massive battle. And the instructor's like, you just got to keep going. You know, you might be building muscle mass, and this is how much fat weighs, how much muscle weighs. And I remember just thinking to myself, this is just fucking impossible. And then again, fell off the bandwagon. And I just felt like I was in a proper rut. I was letting my kids down. Like I was suffering with like trauma related sort of some mental health problems at the time. And I was just, life was just a big struggle, like 2 young children, you know, it's like me trying to run a job. I was running a business at the time as well.
Yeah.
And it just become too much. And I can't even remember how I come onto it, but someone, I don't even remember how it happened, but I come across like gastric surgery. So
Yeah.
it's very much seen as like a cheating way out, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and if I preempted your...
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Do you think it is a cheating way out?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't give a fuck if it is. It worked for me, and it's got me back to being happy.
Yeah.
I'll talk honestly. So obviously it took a few months. I went to see so I paid 12 grand for mine.
Fucking hell, that's...
So yeah. I fucking paid for it. I didn't want to do it on the NHS. And anyone in America that's listening, like, the NHS is our national healthcare system where everyone pays tax and we all get healthcare. I didn't feel right in going to my doctor, even though he'd told me to lose weight, and saying I want the taxpayer to pay for this. I felt like it was my issue.
You had to own it.
I had to own it. Yeah, and I fronted up 12 grand to pay for it. I went to see the doctor at the private hospital. I didn't want to go to Turkey. A lot of people do, to make it a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that because if anything goes wrong, at least if you're in the UK, you've got the you know, the NHS here, if you like. You've got the facilities here. I just didn't want to be away from everything to do that. Went to see him and he was like, there's different types of gastric surgery. I decided to go for the sleeve. So you get a bypass, which is more extreme.
Okay.
So what that is that's where they literally like reroute part of it around, I believe, to your intestine. I mean, obviously research this if you need to. But
and what did you have then?
I had the sleeve, which is where they basically just they make your stomach smaller.
Literally cut part of your stomach out.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, so it's quite
serious
major
shit, that.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, but you will be surprised how common this is.
Yeah.
Like, anyone watching this is like, this is rare. It's not fucking rare, mate. I've met, since I've had it done, so many people who have had it done.
Yeah.
And lost weight as a result. Now, it is quite intense surgery. You know, you obviously you do a lot of you have to do a diet before you do it, which was really interesting.
What's that then?
So it's basically to shrink your liver.
Your liver?
Yeah. So, so your liver's a bit of a weird thing. So your liver and your stomach are basically next to each other in your body. If you're overweight, your liver is probably inflamed because you've got a bad diet.
A bit fatty in that, yeah.
Yeah. So for 2 weeks before you have the surgery, you have to shrink your liver. So it's like a liver shrinkage diet. And doing that diet nearly stopped me having the surgery because I did it for 2 weeks and I lost over a stone.
Fucking hell, fair play, yeah.
And I found it, I don't know whether I found it easy or whether it was the fact that you've got to fucking do this, because if
you've got no choice here now, you've got to go and get this done if you want this surgery.
Yeah. But it was just a real common sense diet. You have so many carbs, so many proteins, you have a lot of fruit and veg. And what I was doing is I was waking up and purposely not eating until midday because I wasn't able to eat a lot.
Yeah, what, intermittent fasting type of thing?
No, so you don't have to do it like that.
Yeah.
But you're allowed to eat so much stuff per day.
Yeah.
So what I was doing is saying, right, well, I don't want to start eating that until a bit later.
Yeah.
Because it was not a lot of food. So I mate, like you, I would go and have a Mackey's. I'd have a little hamburger on the side and then maybe a McFlurry.
Yeah.
It's fucking,
that, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not good, and you know it's not, but you do it.
Yeah,
but anyway. Eating this diet, I decided to go ahead with it. Had the surgery. I get why it's seen as the easy way out, because I think what it does is it makes you do it. Like, you can't eat much when
once you've done it, you can't reverse that decision, can you? I guess it's done.
It's for life, mate. It really is. But what happens is that you obviously can't eat much when you've just had surgery, so you'll start just having some like protein shakes, but even then they're very specific about what ones you can have.
Okay.
So I was having the grenade ones with less than 5 grams of sugar per 100.
Okay. Yeah.
So you still very focused on what you're eating. And as you sort of over the months, as you start to improve, you'll start to eat some meals again. Like even now, so me and a client went out for some lunch yesterday. We went for steak from a lunchtime menu at a steakhouse. I still struggle 2, 3, 2.5, something like that, years on, eating like a proper big meal.
Yeah.
But I am back to like a form of normality now.
Yeah.
So with that, I lost a good 5 stone.
Fantastic.
Which was the target that the doctors had set.
Yeah. And how quickly did that come off?
So you generally lose weight on that for a good 1.5 2 years.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's not as quick, and so at the beginning you lose quite a lot quite quickly.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I wonder how much half a stomach weighs. but like you do lose quite a lot quite quick.
Yeah.
But then you'll steady out, you'll start eating again, and then that will slow down, but it will continue.
Yeah.
But it's not a cheat where you're like, no, I can just eat whatever the fuck I want in smaller portions.
Yeah.
If you still have a bad diet, you'll soon get to the point where you're eating enough food to over-consume your calories and therefore put on weight. So it's not like a very simple thing, and it is fucking hard, mate. When you can't, it is quite extreme. And my honest advice to anyone would be, look, if you're like I was in such a shit situation, to be honest, like mentally, physically, I'd tried everything, it wasn't working, and it was very extreme. But for me, it worked, and I fully understand that people have their own views on this. There might be people listening to this who know me that are like, oh, fucking lazy, whatever. At the end of the day, mate, that's the choice I made, and I don't regret it at all, because for me it worked.
Well, why should you? We're all on a different journey.
Yeah.
We're all doing something different, and if it works for you, it works for you. You've lost the weight, and that you can't argue that.
Yeah, and that's just part of my journey. So like, obviously now I could go and eat like chocolate, McDonald's, whatever. Might not be able to eat as much of it, but I can still be putting on a lot of weight. So now for me, that's...
So what's the goal now? Where do you go now?
So for me now, like that's why I joined Man vs Fat, because all right, look, I've had that, but I'm now like I will have weeks where I put on and come off. So I've kind of like stabilised my weight. I could eat a 2,000. I could go out for takeaway now and eat pretty much most of it if I wanted to. But so I need to, like everyone else, get back on it, and I do feel like I have a little bit of a step up because my stomach is smaller.
Yeah.
So there is that advantage for me, 100%. But I still have to be strict. So the tracking that we do on Man vs Fat is really good, because it just keeps things into perspective what I'm having. I have to make sure I get the right vitamins and minerals in, obviously.
Of course.
So Man vs Fat for me is the way that I say, right, it helps me be more active. I love football. I play football. But also I track all my food, so I get the extra points for that. I'll think more about what I eat, and like you were saying, I'll accept the fact that I'll have bad days. Like it was my brother's birthday the other week. We went out for a family meal. There was birthday cake there, of course. You should. I don't think anyone should deprive themselves of that.
No, absolutely. Enjoy those moments. You should do.
But I'll try and make the week a healthier place. And being out of the police now, having left the police, and having that freedom, like away from like shift changes and all that crap, and working for myself, I've got a lot more ability to control what I eat. Yeah. So like yourself, I'll be on the road a lot. So what I'll try and do is eat healthy-ish whilst I'm on the road. But what I don't want to do is say to clients, I'm not going out for lunch or whatever. So go out for lunch. Like yesterday we had steak, salad. So still just trying to make the right choices, but being sensible with it. Yeah,
I had something similar a few weeks back where I just landed a new client, and he said, right, let's go out and celebrate and go and grab some dinner. And I thought, well, there's no way I'm going to turn around and say, no, I can't because I'm having my shakes. I thought it'd be really rude. He offered to pay and everything. He said, look, this is a big deal for us both. Let's go and have some dinner. And so I did. I just thought, okay, this is a diet. I'm going to have to put it to one side because this is important for business. It's important for building a bond and building a relationship with my client. It's the right thing to do. And so I did. I had a great meal, a few beers, had a laugh, and then following morning, didn't have the full English breakfast. I just got up, back on the shakes and the protein bars, and off I went. And it's finding that balance, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, mate. Yeah, and I think that's the important thing. You've got to live a life.
100%.
It doesn't need to evolve around food, though.
No.
But yeah, and I think that's just, yeah, you've got to do that.
Fantastic.
For me going forward, mate, just to finish off, like, I would recommend. Like, I don't regret having what I had done.
No.
I think it's really good. And to be honest with you, it's 6 stone. So I think I'm floating around 15 now. I want to get down to about 13, but that now is where I need to put in the work to get there.
Yeah.
Like my procedure has got rid of 60% of my excess body fat. So the way I see that is it's put me into a position where I now need to man the fuck up and do something about it.
Now you can go to the gym and you can manage these things better.
Yeah.
You will feel better going to the gym. You'll be less conscious. You can move better.
Yeah.
It'll work better for you. Awesome. Well, thanks for your story today, Darren. It's been a great story. And we'll see you on the next episode. Please like and subscribe to the channel. You'll find us on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, a lot. And then X, of course, can't forget X, not Twitter, X. See you soon, guys. Thank you.